In this episode, we leave the Isle of Ponza heading for Gaeta, our winter mooring, just before the storm hits, and boy, does it hit.
And makes an alarming discovery when we check our life jackets.
We see the command centre for the USA's 6th Fleet, and we take a walk on the beach after the storm.
It's big waves, the swell's not huge, but as it's coming up and shallow in there.
Unfortunately, this chap lost his boat because his bilge pump wasn't working. We've talked about that before. And this lovely vessel, well, she dragged from her mooring and went ashore. Last trip of the season, island of Ponza, across the Tyrrhenian Sea to Gaeta in Italy. It's been a beautiful island, 5 days that we've stayed here. Well, you know, as soon as you complain about no wind, it fills in, doesn't it? Our 37-mile jaunt across the Tyrrhenian Sea and the Mediterranean took us to Gaeta fairly quickly. We had a real good sail. It was only the last 10 minutes or so that we put the sails down as we headed into the bay, into Gaeta. Aircraft carrier over there. Great big cathedral. Pretty town. Davey. So while David and Caroline on Eternité went into the marina, we dropped our rib off the davits down into the water so it was easier for us to get in, stern to. We then tie the rib to the bow of the boat, and as we reverse, she just flips round into the right position. Makes it really easy. As we enter the fairway, Eternité is still getting into her berth. The wind's on our nose, it's slightly different here, so what we do is we reverse out and then come down the fairway in reverse. So we've got to reverse into the berth anyway, and powering into the wind will make the boat more steerable, more manageable. Not only that, the wind will then be on our port side and it will push us up against the boat that's next to us on our starboard side. With the bow thruster damaged, we wanted to be able to have the boat under full control. We did a bit on boat handling before in another video. I'll put a link to it. So we're now reversing down the fairway. Now this is interesting. Look at the flag on the flagpole and look at our courtesy flag. Both in slightly different directions. So watch what happens with these two flags as we go down the fairway. The wind on the courtesy flag has virtually stopped now. Sorry? Oh, 2 metres.
As we turn into our berth, the wind picks up slightly. We're exactly where we planned to be. I then come back to the stern to secure the docking lines. Once the aft lines are secure, we can then tie off the bow lines.
Using the slime line, which is handed to us by the marineros. We'd only been in Gaeta a few days when a huge storm came in. It swept right across the Mediterranean. It caused havoc everywhere.
Fantastic job clearing up all this timber that washes the shore here. And they stack it all up. These little bits. Moving out there now, pulling in a huge log. It's hitting the bay, floating dock over there.
The wind was so strong it ripped the flags and tore this gazebo to pieces, and the swell lifted this pontoon almost a metre out of position.
Another casualty was this big square rigger. We'd have been admiring her a couple of days before. She tore away from her moorings and was rolled up on the shore, breaking her bowsprit and her forward mast. She really was in quite a sorry state. Luckily, they managed to tow her into the boatyard and started repairs. A few days later, two large cranes, a 300-tonner and a 200-tonner, came over to the dockside and lifted all the broken pieces off the boat. Unfortunately, she wasn't the only casualty. This day boat, well, his bilge pump wasn't working, and with all the heavy rain, the boat filled with water and sank. His new 80 horsepower Yamaha was submerged for 2 or 3 days before they could lift it out.
The storm lasted for 2 days. Once it was over, we decided to take the pups for a long walk.
There are a couple of large rivers that run into the bay at Gaeta. The swollen rivers had brought all the debris from the mountains down into the bay. There were huge logs, some massive pieces of driftwood.
You wouldn't want to run into that, would you?
It's quite worrying because wind turns.
Quite a few big stumps down there. Another big stump there. And then another one down there.
Some water on it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, and there, look. Further down there's...
It's either a structure here or they just dumped it into a pool.
We walked round to the other side of the peninsula, to the large beach.
Oh Lulu, shut up. That's big waves. The swell's not huge, but as it's coming up and shallow in there, they're 4 or 5 metre waves, and that's the kind of stuff that's washing up. I'll have a walk on the beach now. See what else is washed up. I've had a light bulb moment. That's a big one. All the girls say that. Dodgy old welding on that.
what we're doing, we're checking all our life jackets. So at the end of every season, with we have a list of things that we're going to do, and one of them is to go through all our life jackets and just check the bottles are okay. We blow them all up, make sure they stay inflated for a couple of hours, check all the tags and all the seals. But I just wanted to show folks this. Now this is actually my life jacket, and there's a couple of things. First is this cylinder has started to corrode, and that is only 2 years old. But about 6 months ago, I wore this jacket when we were in some rough weather, and a couple of days later we found a little bolt, a little screw, little cat bolt, didn't we, on the deck, and we thought, where's that come from? That it looks like a gas fitting. Or anyway, we kept it to one side and didn't think any more of it. Eventually, when it didn't
find a home,
yeah, when it didn't find a home, when we couldn't work out where it come from, I threw it away. Just come to do the life jacket test on this one, and the whole thing fell apart. And the reason it fell apart was because that little nut which is on this one here, look, which is a cap nut, had come undone and fallen off. So if I'd have fell in the water, this life jacket literally wouldn't have, well, it would have gone off because there's gas in the cylinder, but the gas from that cylinder goes through a little valve arrangement and into this like Schrader valve here, and that Schrader valve wasn't held on, the firing device wasn't held on. Look, that little cap had come off of there, somehow come unscrewed, so when that cylinder went off, when the pin went through the end, it literally would have blown the gas straight out of there, and the jacket wouldn't have inflated. Even if I'd pulled the toggle to make it go, the gas would have simply come straight out of that cap. So,
well, you could inflate it manually by going into the tube.
You could, but you know, in a big,
yeah, I know.
If you're in big swells, you've just fallen over, you've got cold shock and what have you. So check your life jackets, because this one now needs to have a new firing mechanism and a new bottle. So we'll put that one to side. We've actually got 6 life jackets on board to match our 6-man life raft, even though there's only 2 of us most of the time, occasionally 4 people. But yeah, check your life jackets, inflate them, blow them up, make sure that they hold air for at least a couple of hours. Just blow them up through this, and then when you let them down, there's a little pin on the end there, you can just do that. Next time we go out into the town and have a good look round at all the fantastic Christmas lights. Really is a brilliant show.
The lights were absolutely fantastic, they really were. And then starts our winter maintenance schedule. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe, and follow us on Facebook.
Sail safe.